Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your match previews Talking Town. We've got lots to cover this evening. As always, like, subscribe, join Talking Town over on Discord if you can. Fortnite cancel at any point. But Lawrence Shankland linked with Town. Delap having talks already with Manchester United. Reportedly, we've got a game to cover, the last one. Hooray! I hear everyone scream and shout. And as always, we want your comments, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. Anything to do with any transfers, the end of season awards that just happened, all of that, anything and everything, do let us know what you're thinking this evening. And of course, there is a European final as well. If you want to let us know who you think might be winning that, go ahead and do so. While you're there, remember that we are also partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help save lives, have the chance to win £1,000 every week, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery by playing just £1. That's a small 100p. Each week, you're having to keep their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week with prizes ranging from £50 to £1,000. Over 18s only. T&Cs applies. And what I always say, please, whatever you do, gamble responsibly. Lots of you coming into our live chat. Welcome one, welcome all. And if you're on catch up, FJ, comment for that algorithm. Now, I can't do this alone. We've had Tux, we've had Ben, and now let's dip back into the contributor pool and pull out. Oh, no, it's this old thing again.
Oh. Good evening.
How are you, sir? You well?
Good. If people are listening to this, they won't have seen the progress made on the studio. Not. It's looking very good. Isn't it?
Yes. My little broom cupboard here. My little broom cupboard, not quite under the stairs like a certain wizard, but. Yeah. It's my little space, and I'm slowly getting there. It is slow progress, Matt. It is slow progress. A bit like Town trying to pick up 3 points at home. Very slow progress, but eventually we'll get there.
Incredibly slow progress. We're having to go earlier this evening, aren't we? Because it's a big game, and I'm talking about National League playoff semi-final, Forest Green versus Southend, representing Essex. Come on, the Shrimpers. Do you remember it was only 2 years ago, Martin, we were playing Forest Green.
Well, it's funny
going in opposite directions.
It's funny because obviously you know, and the viewers know that have been here for a while, even those that are perhaps new. I'm obviously a big football buff. You know, I live and breathe it. I study it. I watch every single minute of every single game. You know, if it's a game in Latvia, I'm watching it. So I was actually, surprised to hear you say Forest Green Rovers because I clearly do not live, breathe, and eat football, and I don't know about any games in Latvia. And I didn't even know Forest Green were in the National League now.
Yeah, well, after they got relegated from League One, go down into League Two.
That's generally what happens. I do know that bit, Matt.
Yeah,
I do know that.
But they've had a good season. They finished third, and Southend scraped into the playoffs. So they play each other in the semi-final tonight, and then the winner will play Oldham at Wembley on June the 1st. Oldham beat York City 3-0 last night, having finished. Oldham had finished something like 25 points behind York City.
I saw people sort of whinging about that. But you can't have the magic of the playoffs without. No. That is technically a magic of a playoff. It's not
it really is.
York, but say la vie. That's the way it is. But no, we're going early because obviously you this evening are now a Tottenham or Man United fan after being a Real Madrid fan, after being a Inter Milan fan. You've been so many different European fans over the last this season because we've been moving shows left and right to accommodate your support of these clubs. Who are you supporting this evening?
Oh, sure, I'm supporting tonight because I've got friends who've actually flown to Bilbao supporting Spurs and Man United. So I'm not sure who to go for.
A good game then. A good game.
I mean, to segue into our first little segment, if Man United are to win it, I would imagine money would be on the table for Delap ASAP. I would have thought with the carrot of Champions League.
This is it. So the links reports have linked Liam Delap with Manchester United. Recent reports, Matt, obviously that he's held talks. With Manchester United. What are your thoughts on that? We've got a couple of comments on that coming in. I'll come to those in a minute. But what are your thoughts first and foremost?
Well, I mean, as we've said before, the players will do what's in the players' best interest. Liam Delap's in the Liam Delap business, so he's given us the season at Town. One game left to go. He's now looking to where he's going to be for the 25-26 season. And I would say probably Man United, although had their issues this season. Man, who would have thought they'd finish just above us in the table? That's what they're doing. As we said, what was it, Sunday? If you told us we'd finish just below United and Spurs in the table, we'd think, what a success. Top 10.
Yeah, you were taking it.
They've obviously failed domestically, albeit You know, they've done well in the Europa League. But you got to think United are going to come good, right? They've got a billionaire owner in Jim Radcliffe. That Amorim struggled to find his feet. I mean, he hasn't picked up that many points, has he? Is it 9 or something daft? 4 of those against us. We always gift the less fortunate points, don't we? Southampton being another.
Always.
United are probably going to come good, and they've already targeted Cunha as a release clause at 62.5 million, I think. And then you put Delap in there, so that's 100 million spend already. I mean, presumably they're going to have to sell as well, but I think that would be a good place for him to go if Man United are going to be on this resurgence under Amorim, fresh start, players that he wants, etc. But we'll wait and see. Oh, while Liam Delap's in the Liam Delap business, we're in the Ipswich Town business. Show us the money, 30 million, and then we can go and start spending it.
Yeah, you see, I just don't care. I just don't care. Go wherever you want. Yeah. Well,
show me the money.
He's going to go regardless because of the release clause, you know, the relegation release clause. We've got no say in it. I don't care. It just sign somewhere, anywhere, that as fast as you can. I mean, you
did mention Everton to me, didn't you? New stadium, bit of a clean start there, I suppose. New era for Everton.
Bit tongue in cheek, but I mean, you know, obviously David Moyes, great manager. But there's a host of clubs, and there will be a whole host of clubs. Why wouldn't they want to pay 30 million? It's a snippet, you know, in today's market, 30 million for a player that has got the best years ahead, and are not just a few good years ahead of him, his whole career ahead of him.
He's ahead of him,
you know, and you know, did it leave a sour? Has it left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth? But you know, he's already talking to clubs while the season's going on. I can't lie, probably a little bit, but ultimately, I don't care. I just don't care. Just.
Well, if he's been talking to Chelsea, which is apparently another option for him, they would probably want him to compete in this Club World Cup, which begins very shortly, doesn't it? So you never know. Ipswich might get a little bit of extra money out of that to release him early for that one. I think there's going to be a special transfer window just for that competition, isn't there? Isn't it from mid-June or something? Then it closes for a week and then it opens again, doesn't it? Just to accommodate player movement for that tournament. So you never know. But I think it's going to be sooner rather than later.
See, then what I'm more interested in, because obviously we can't control that with the relegation release clause. We can't even look forward to, there's 8 clubs interested. It could be, what's the final fee? You know, let's really get them all around a table and fight it out. We can't, so I don't care. Let's move it on. He's going to go. Thanks for the season. Look forward to watching him in the Premier League and England for years to come. But, you know, c'est la vie. We move on to another link. This time incoming, and this is like jumping into the Talking Town time machine, because this is a player that you mentioned on this platform a couple of seasons ago. It is the prolific Scottish striker Lawrence Shankland. Out of contract with Hearts. Us and Saints are reportedly interested. They've offered him a new deal. They were desperate. You know, they seem really keen for him to stay. New manager there. What are your thoughts on this one? Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and guess you're a big fan because you've already tried, getting him here once.
Yeah,
great, right?
This was in our League One days, wasn't it? I would just wonder if, like, he's 29, 30. I just wonder if Ipswich is now too big for Lawrence Shankland. Do you know what I mean? He had a phenomenal scoring record in Scotland going back, I don't know, sort of 7, 8 years ago. So I think he made his name with Ayr United in the Scottish Championship. How that compares to the English football level, I'm not sure, but he scored something like, I don't know, 60 odd goals there, and then he went to Dundee United and he had a bit of a spell which didn't really work out for him in Belgium at Beerschot, and he came back to Scotland with Hearts where he's the captain. But yeah, he's always had a phenomenal domestic league record for scoring. But I just don't know I don't know whether or not, I don't think that's what Ipswich needs.
Are you not keen now? Are you not keen?
No, probably not. Well, I would say he's probably on par. If you look at before we came on now, I looked at some of his attributes and some of his Opta stats. He's probably on a par with Al Hamidi, I would say. So if you're going to lose Al Hamidi to, I don't know, say Stoke for argument's sake, I don't think you'd have a Shankland and Al Hamidi in the same squad. It's going to be one or the other, I would have thought. But again, Shankland a few years ago when his ceiling might have been a little bit higher, but the fact is,
you'd put him on par with like Ali, would you?
Yeah. I mean, he's untested, really, isn't he? I mean, look, he goes to Belgium out of Scotland, and the Belgian league's not fantastic either, really. And he didn't really settle down, came back, like I say, to Hearts, where he's had a good career and become captain. And reading some of the reports, they paid him in a slightly deeper role this season, where he scored more assists. Also had a good scoring record. So he played more in the 10, I think, in the latter stages of the season. I think he was in and out of the side through loss of form and injuries and stuff. But yeah, if we go back to when we started Talking Town in 2020, around sort of 2021, I probably would have said, yeah, let's get this guy in. But I don't know. Look, if you're thinking he's on, well, if I'm thinking he's on par with Al Hamidi, now Hamidi's what, 7-8 years younger, then it makes more sense to keep Ali around. I don't think you have both in there.
I'm surprised.
Actually,
no, you don't have both in the same squad. No, but I've got some stats here. Obviously, he's got 8 goals and assists in 32 games this year, 24 goals and 4 assists from 36 the year before, 24 goals and 4 assists from 37 the year before that. So you talk about, I know it's, Scotland's not the Championship or the Premier League, and it's hard to sort of say how he'll make the jump across. But on a free transfer, if you're telling me, Martin, this is going to be your third striker with George Hurst and one other, and Ali's obviously, either sold or loaned. I'm all over this because what would he cost it? If you were actually going to pay for him, 3 to 5 million, easy with that goal scoring record.
Well, maybe. That's a good question. Actually, I'm not sure if he was to have a fee, what it would be. It just seems a bit of unknown territory. I mean, ditto this Richard Kone we've been talking about and linked with as a big lump that could replace Delap again. Untested. I mean, he was playing for Atletico Newham in step 9, level 9 of the English league, right? So who knows whether or not he could. Part of me feels like he's not really good enough to come into Ipswich and spearhead a promotion campaign. What the big question here really is who's actually going to replace Delap? It needs to be a marquee name, but a marquee signing that will come in and hit the ground running. I'm not sure really Shankland's ticking that box. He just would be a squad filler for me now at this stage of his career. As Al Hamidi is. And Al Hamidi, of course, scored a lot of goals for Wimbledon and was representing Iraq at the Asia Cup and all that kind of stuff. So, he'd shown that he could do it in the lower leagues. Shankland's shown he can do it in the Scottish League. Is League 1 and League 2 on par with the majority of the Scottish Premier League? It probably is, in my opinion. It's a bit of a hard one to gauge, isn't it? So I like the player. Is he a player that Ipswich Town need right this minute to spearhead a promotion campaign? I'm not sure he's the right fit, but let's wait and see. Interesting, Southampton have been linked as well. I think the guy who's linked him was the one that had broke the story, one of these online Twitter journalists who broke the story of Latte Laf going to Atlanta. So he's got quite a good record of being kind of a legit source. Now, if you gave me the actual option, we should have got Latte Laf in. That's like he's saying. But, maybe that's the kind of model striker that we need. Someone who's got similar attributes to Latte Laf, really. Can shoot in and out of the box, good in the air, pacey, really good at pressing. Probably someone more of that ilk, really. But I like Shankland, but maybe not now. Maybe a couple of 2-3 seasons ago.
Jumping back
in the comments thinks.
Well, this is it. Jump back to the lap. Jason says, if he goes, he goes. Plenty of others out there. Blue Moon Phil says, I can't believe these the lap comments. He was your hero 5 minutes ago. Good. Well, he said is my hero, to be fair. A good grief. If it hasn't been for him, you would have been relegated by Christmas. Blue Moon Phil. I don't know if it's about my comments or the chat's comments, but in terms of my comments, I'm just going to sort of clarify. I don't care where he goes because I can't affect where he goes, and he'll do what's best for his career or whatever. So I don't care, in terms of he's been linked here or talking here. But yeah, I hope he goes and of course, I'm going to watch from the sideline, the biggest supporter. I absolutely love Liam Delap for what he's given us this year in a season, particularly at home, where it's not been, it's not been glamour, is it? It's not been like last year where we're winning games and you're walking out with that buzz because you've won. You're still seeing quality players, but it's nice to have seen quality players that have played for you, and he's a quality player. So I'm looking forward to seeing his career. Really going to support him moving forward, but I don't care if he's holding talks or going here, there, or everywhere because I can't affect that. Can you? Can you affect that?
No. I totally agree with you. I mean, he's in the world of agents now and dealing with the club, and that's where he's going to go. And as we said at the top, I think it's going to happen very quickly. Certainly, if he goes to Chelsea, for example, he'll be at that Club World Cup. I would have thought. And
I'll be watching Chelsea, supporting Chelsea for him. Or I'll be watching Man United next year, with Gary Neville on comms and Roy Keane in the studio, and I'll be wanting Delap to get on the field, or if he's on the field, performing at the highest level. Because ultimately, this is a guy that's probably one day going to win us a European or World Cup. Let's be honest.
I hope so. That'd be great, wouldn't it? I mean, look, it's the same as when, I don't know, Orient, Leicester fans look back and remember Harry Kane being on loan there for a spell.
Yeah.
Because he did that, didn't he? But didn't it look like Kane was ever going to be a top level goal scorer, and then he goes on has a wonderful career with England, and has now finally won silverware, albeit in Germany with Bayern Munich. But yeah, I mean, look, Delap, he's had a bad second half of the season for me, but that's because he started off the season so well. And we know Ipswich have not had a good 2025 either, so he's not alone in this. Really.
No, that's fair.
He certainly tailed off, but we kept saying we have to keep playing him because there's no other option. And my worry, of course, was that he was eventually going to get injured and he'd miss games. As it transpires, he hasn't. I just think he's suddenly just got tired, exhausted. He's had to carry the weight of our striking options on his shoulders, which are only, 21, 22 years old. He just burnt himself out a little bit, I think. He probably don't need the Club World Cup. He could do the summer off and coming back in August. But, that's the world he's in now. A pressure world. Once you go to these bigger clubs, pushing in Europe and all that kind of stuff, that's the demands of responsibility you've got when you go to a team competing for the top four, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like Shankland. And I hear what you're saying. And I actually agree with you. And that's why, as part of a rotation, Shankland and Hurst and one other, I'm in love with that, because Shankland comes in with goals in the last 3 seasons. Can he cut it in, in the Championship and beyond? You've got George Hurst, who's obviously breaking through to Scotland as an international. If he stays fit, we all know what George Hurst can do. And one other, then you're not relying on one player as much. And next year with 46 games and the League Cup and the FA Cup, etc., you can't be reliant on just one man. So that's why I would have Shankland ahead of Ali if it was an option, and Ali back on loan, or perhaps you say the club's now gone further than we thought it would, and Ali, you can try and cash back in on Ali in terms of a resale value. I don't know, but Shankland for me right now will be better positioned than Ali, just because of his stats in Scotland. I know it's only Scotland. I know you'll say it's only Scotland, or someone will say it's only Scotland.
Yeah,
but it's not that much of a jump if you're a second. Don't make him your first. Remember a couple of years ago when we brought in Caden Jackson and Ellis Harrison, and we said, right, you two, you're our first strikers, and it's like, well, we're just making a step or two up here. Yeah, we need to jump. Yeah. So you don't want to be doing that. We've got €20 donation from the legend that is David. David, thank you very much. We absolutely love you for that. Trevor's rates Hurst, but he's not that prolific at scoring. He's prolific when he plays. He's not going
to spearhead a promotion campaign for a receiver, is he? Let's be honest about it. I mean, we're lucky to get half a season out of George. I've liked his cameos from the bench this season in the Premier League. I think he's done well when he's been available, but I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in the George Hurst basket if we're thinking about getting promoted here. And we're getting mixed messages in the comments here, aren't we? People finishing top 2, might not be top 6. So again, everyone always looks at Ipswich.
It's got to be top 2 as the target. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be. But it's going to be difficult. But look, it looks like Will Steele is going to go to Southampton. That was the rumour on Sky last night that he'd verbally agreed a deal there. Looks like Russell Martin might be going in at Leicester. It looks like Van Nistelrooy is going to get the boot there. But they'll start with a points deficit, and then we've got the unknown quantity of Birmingham and Wrexham, and then one of Sunderland and Sheffield United staying down. So it will be tough. And of course, what have Ipswich not had this season? Well, they had any momentum. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for Town to suddenly start picking up wins in a season where we've only won 1 at home. Prior to West Ham, we're not going to beat them. I don't know.
Yeah, this is it. This is the thing, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer. This is the start of it. I got somebody in the chat. I think it was Sam. Cheers for the comment, Sam. Who says, "Where's the Shankland rumour come from? Can't find anything." I first saw it. Don't know if it originated from here, from Graham Bailey.
Yeah, Graham Bailey was, yeah.
He's got 119,000 followers on X, just 119,000 more than me. So I don't, that's where I saw it first. I don't know if it originated from there, but I'll just put Graham's name down as where I saw it. David's gifted 5 Talking Town memberships, so 5 lucky people can now get access to the Discord. Check your community tab for the link. It's been busy in there today talking about managerial situations.
What were people saying? What were they saying? Give a killer out.
Well, conversation at one point was like Danny Roll, obviously, because now you've got Will Steele, Southampton, Russell Martin at Leicester. And by the way, I did say at the time when people were linking Russell Martin to Norwich, he's going to wait for a club that's perhaps more ready to return to the Premier League. And well, Leicester may have their own circumstances and issues, but they're a parachute club with a fair bit of money and some decent players, right? He hasn't got to sell Sargent and Signs to go and get 3 or 4 players in, right? He can go in there and start on a pretty good footing, as it were,
Yeah.
player-wise. All right, moving it on.
Well, he's got Danny Rose, isn't he? But his team's letting lots of goals. His team's letting a lot of goals. He's letting just as many as sort of Cardiff, who are getting relegated, I think, just thinking off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, look, he's a progressive manager. He's loved it Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, what did the Sheffield Wednesday journalist who came on with us a couple of seasons back said he was the most popular Sheffield Wednesday manager since Big Ron? That's going back decades, isn't it? So, I mean, fair play to him. But you might think that clubs in Germany might be, or Austria or whatever, might be looking at him as well. But at the moment, we just got to hope Kieran stays, right? We want him to repeat what he's done with us previously. It's got the blueprint.
My only pause for thought was when I was speaking to my brother, who's a Wednesday fan, and he was saying that he likes to play counter-attacking football, which sounds great, or it sounds fine. That's a way of playing. And then you think about, hang on, if he's a counter-attacking player and he's conceded that many goals, does he need to sort of switch it to be on more of the front foot, or is that just like
got down at the back?
yeah. We can't defend, but we're still going to sit right back. You know, obviously that needs more unpacking than that. But I just like, okay, that gave me pause for thought for a little bit. Lots of comments coming in. Let's jump to this weekend. West Ham at home. I'll tell you what, Matt. I'll be honest with you now. West Ham away was probably a moment, and I don't know if I said it on the show afterwards, or I haven't looked back, where I probably had my first real, we may be in trouble here, because we went to West Ham. They were really poor under the previous manager. And we didn't just get beat. We got well and truly beat.
Well, one down after a minute.
Yeah. And that was probably where my first, okay, we may be in trouble here started. So
that was on the back of the Villa game, the 2-2 with Villa, I think it was. I think it was that one, wasn't it? So we was in pretty decent form. We'd had the draw with Fulham as well, hadn't we? The 1-1. But then I said at the time everyone was underestimating West Ham, and so it proved, because we had people coming on and saying, "Oh, we'll win 2-3-0 or whatever." That was a moment.
It was a
reality moment for a lot of Town fans, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was for me. It wasn't a little bit for me.
We got back on level terms pretty quickly, didn't we? But that
corner.
Rarity. Shout out Mark Hudson. It was in the second phase of the corner, though, wasn't it? So I don't know if we can count that. Maybe. We might as well. We'll just give him as much credit as we can. We've had enough goes at him this season, for old Mark Hudson.
Well,
but you know, look, West Ham have been down by the bottom of the table this season. So what were they on? Just 40 points or whatever. And they looked head and shoulders above us that day, didn't they? But we didn't help ourselves, did we? Gave away a stupid goal. Calvin, daft pass. 1-0 down within 50 seconds.
Wasn't great. And as we head into this one, I just can't wait for it to be over, frankly. Well, I can't. I mean, you know, it's not. We've seen them all now, right? Chelsea, United, Arsenal, you know, Newcastle. We've seen all the big clubs. Liverpool, obviously, start of the season. We've seen them all now. Yeah. I just can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You hate this line, but the journey was clearly better than the destination, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In the end,
I'll ask you that in October.
Yeah. Yeah. Please do.
Yeah.
Look, West Ham traditionally are always on the beach, aren't they? Last day of the season. If there's anyone you want to play, it's generally West Ham. But you look at their last away trip, beat United 2-0, Man United 2-0. So be interesting. And you know, Graham Potter going in there replaced Lopetegui, didn't he? He'll want to finish the season strongly, I guess. We want to finish the season strongly, don't we? Because Leicester go to Bournemouth. We want to finish third from bottom because it's worth 2-3 million more. And you're talking about, you know, that would pay wages or whatever it might be in terms of, you know, it sounds small given the fees we've been paying last summer, the 100 million or whatever it is. But I mean, every penny can count again when you get back into the Football League. So hopefully we can do that. What the team will look like, God only knows. Tommy wants to see a bit of a League One reunion. They got us here. They can see us out. That's
it's interesting, obviously, because last day of the season, we know Massimo Luongo, for example, was out of contract. We expect him to move on because we're looking to upgrade the position that we've got already with him in the mix. So you would have thought with bringing players in, you're going to lose players, and he seems like an obvious departure with him being out of contract. So will he play, or will he come on? Will he feature at all? Like, will he get that? Because obviously it would be a nice moment for him, having given us.
I was play him.
You know, well, this is it. Do you start him? Do you not start him? Like, because he's given us outstanding service for a player that obviously arrived and wasn't seen for a few weeks.
Yeah. Few weeks. About 6 months, wasn't it?
Well, it was a fairly long time, but once we
He came on against Burnley, didn't he? Come on, Burnley. We was all looking at each other going, "Here he is,
yeah,
Massimo,
and he's been
Missimo." That's what you
sensational
called him.
since. Well,
He done-
because
he
it was
done
like
great, yeah.
he's been sensational since. So
Yeah, I mean, look, whether or not,
would you start him?
yeah, personally, I would, as like a sentimental thing, most likely. Yeah, I mean, but you know,
Next to Jens Kajus, because obviously it will probably be, you know, more than
Morsey.
likely his last game at Portman Road.
Yeah, true. Morsey, most likely, I would. Would you put Walton in goal? You're going to start Palmer.
Which is it? I was just reading myself sentimental FC this weekend. Like, I was just you know.
I mean, look, I would like to see us finish third from bottom, but you want to finish as high as in the table as you can. That's the best we can do. And like we said, there's a financial incentive there. But yeah, I would like to give maybe some of those League One players that were part of that journey, and they obviously got the starts, didn't they, at the top of the season. I'd like maybe to see them finish it as well. So maybe I'd give Walton a little go, a going goal. I mean, he started the season, didn't he, against Liverpool? He can finish it against West Ham.
Are you starting Walton because there's been some talk about Palmer recently in terms of, you know, that maybe a dip off in form? Is that why you're starting Walton? Why are you starting Walton? What's the reason? Because I've seen some talk about Palmer. I think it's silly, but there has been some talk.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, look, people sort of blamed him for that second goal, the McAteer goal, didn't they? Because he got beat at the near post. Well, actually, I did as well, but he should have done better there, really. But he's been phenomenal since he came in. If you think he's made a mistake or whatever, then so be it. But just think back to the game at Villa Park. That was a phenomenal.
That was his debut. Was it his debut?
It might have been his second game, maybe. I don't know, actually. Maybe it was his debut. I don't know. Someone tell us in the comments. Can't remember. It was phenomenal, wherever it was. He was really good. But yeah, I mean, I would just like to see, you know, let's just remember the players that got us on this fantastic journey to begin with, of which Christian Walton was one. So I'd probably just give him a run out and put him in goal.
All right. Back four. Who's your back four for the weekend?
I'm going to put Player of the Year, Dara O'Shea. We'll come to that in a second. I'm going to stick him over at right back, and I'm going to bring Wolfenden back in, probably with Greaves, because I think Burgess is out with this hamstring injury. I'll play Burgess if he was fit, and Leaf. Is that
another farewell as well?
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Foolish, in my opinion, unless Burgess don't want to stay here, of course. But I'll be doing all I can to try and keep him. I will say that, you know, having not been Cameron Burgess's biggest fan in the Football League days, had he had a run of games, and I've said it before, starting from October through till Christmas, whatever, and beyond, he could have been Player of the Year himself rather than Dara O'Shea. Because some of them performances were phenomenal. The Bournemouth one, fantastic. That was fantastic. Even though we lose the game, he was phenomenal in that game. So I'd like to see him stick around in the Championship for next season. But, you know, McKenna and co might have other ideas. But maybe he's got other ideas as well. Maybe he wants to.
Well, this is it. And I've said before, ideal world, you know, Cam Burgess sticks around. But he's 29. So it's not like he's 34 and you can go, here's a 1-year deal and he might sign it. I just think what length of deal he may want at 29, having come out the Premier League and wanting to go straight back. I just think you look at your squad makeup, as I said before, your balance. Yeah. If you sign him on a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal and you get promoted at the first attempt, are you then going to have a player that you've got 2 years left of a contract that really is going to be numbered game, you know, a numbers game where he's going to be featuring less and less, or having to try and sell or loan him out? Because obviously, like this
season, he's been in and out, hasn't he?
He has, but are you going to want to upgrade that centre half position when you get promoted the second time? Probably is the answer. So if you do you know what I mean? I just feel like at this point, is in that.
I get the logic.
That, you know.
Well, Collins answered our question. It was Coventry away. It was the cup, wasn't it? That's the game we were looking at. So it was his league debut was Villa. League debut was Villa.
Yeah, I got it up here, boy. I got it up here.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, so I mean, look, yeah, I'll be giving Burgess a go. If he's fit, otherwise I'll play Greaves. But I'd like to see Wolfenden finish the season at Portman Road, and I'll stick O'Shea over on the right back spot and move Axel down to the bench.
And congratulations to Dara O'Shea, of course, because he picked up an award this week, Matt.
He did. He got Player of the Year. Were you surprised by that, or did you think it was nailed on for Delap?
Really?
But then we were saying, as we answering our own question, Delap hasn't really been that great in 2025, and I think O'Shea's been pretty consistent. Man, I'm looking at some of his defending stats right now. I mean, you know, he's up there with other central defenders in the Premier League, so alongside Virgil van Dijk, all that lot, for tackles won, duels won, aerial duels won, interceptions, blocking, recoveries. So, you know, he's kind of a little map here. He's full of green. You've got to think clubs are going to be looking at this themselves and thinking we could bring him back in, but then he's forever going to be on this kind of merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Relegated, promoted, relegated, promoted. I think he'll be captain next season if he stays at Town. So it'd be nice to think he could. He's not that old, is he? I mean,
no.
I would like to see him put some roots down, really. I mean, how old is he?
I'll have a look. I'll see in a second.
26. He's 26.
There you go.
So he's got loads of his career left, doesn't he? So, I mean, I think he'll be the captain next season. That's my take.
I'd like him to be. He's at an interesting point, you feel, of his career. Obviously, 26, sort of what they traditionally call the peak years of your career.
Yeah.
Do you know, depending on who's interested? Now, obviously, with those stats, you almost feel any team in the bottom half of the Premier League could be interested. Now, if one of those came around for him, say, and let's just pluck one, a Brentford, for example, then okay, that's a whole different kettle of fish. But if his only market is the promoted three, is it a crossroads where, you know, do you jump on that merry-go-round and risk in 12 months' time being back and possibly moving on again, and then you're forever sort of jumping on the merry-go-round, or do you settle, lay down the roots, you know, become a captain as you've just sort of perhaps said there, and try and get back at the first time of asking, and if you don't, then perhaps you move on, because if you've been outstanding in the Championship, there'll be clubs that will look at you again and come back around. It's an interesting point for him, I feel, of his career, where it's like, do you jump on the merry-go-round continuously, or do you lay down those roots and, you know?
Yeah, I think he did get, before he signed with us, he did get into Brentford, and I'm pretty certain it was Chris Hall thought he was a friend of the show, thought he was going to go to Wolves, but we obviously must have given him a better offer. So whether or not Wolves were to come back in there.
But they signed a few centre-halves in January, didn't they?
Yeah, they did actually, to be fair. Yeah, out that two lads out of the French league, I think it was. And of course, a different manager now. It was Gary O'Neill then, and it's Vitor Pereira now. So currently, so yeah, I hope he stays with us, because I just think it's not going to damage any international aspirations that he's got, because we see Football League players pretty much make up the majority of the Ireland team anyway. So it wouldn't put the kibosh on that particularly. And like you say, hopefully within a season, this time next year, he'll be talking about being back in the Premier League with us and being our captain, most likely. Is what I would have thought, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know if he's got a relegation clause in his contract. It's an unknown quantity at the moment, isn't it? Who knows?
And also, we also don't know if they've all got relegation, wage deduction percentage, do we? In the
you'd imagine so. I'd imagine so.
But we don't know if they have. We don't know.
No, we don't.
If so, sort of how much of the, is it dropping by? All these things play into consideration. But it's an interesting point where he's got to obviously weigh up those decisions that we're talking about.
Yeah.
A blow to lose him though, because he is a phenomenal player.
Well,
Easily a player.
That's why he's got Player of the Year, isn't it? That's why he's got Player of the Year. He's done well. Yeah. So watch this space now. But yes, back into the midfield. Moulsey and Massimo, and of course I want to see KU say his farewell. He'll come off the bench at some point. And then my three behind the striker. Could it be a goodbye to Amari Hutchinson? Is that relegation clause in that contract? So it sounds doom and gloom, everybody, but it's just the reality of it, isn't it? You've got to think someone like a Brentford or Bournemouth, someone of that ilk, is going to be looking at Amari, especially like Bournemouth, when you think Semenyo and Kluivert are probably going to get cherry picked by probably Champions League ready clubs.
If they do, I tell you, it ain't going to be for what they are saying the relegation release clauses. I can't see any of those clubs, laying 35 million down on the table. I just can't.
It's a fair amount of wedge, isn't it? That's a fair amount.
He would still be classed as one of their marquee signings within their current transfer record spend.
Yeah.
So if it's Bournemouth, maybe I could see 25 to a high 30 with some additional, add-ons, etc., etc. But I can't see anybody laying 35 million, because it's a lot of money, and it still would make him one of their marquee record signings. And he's good, and he's going to be very good. But is he £35 million good right now? I generally don't know, and that's why I do a podcast and don't run a football club.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, look, Brentford have already committed that 35 mil, didn't they? To what's his name? Was it Igor, the Brazilian guy? And he barely played from this season, didn't he? So I mean, they've been burnt once there already. Sharon Guest is saying Mark Ashton stated that everyone has a relegation wage cut in their contracts.
He does,
including himself.
I'm just interested in how much. Like, is it 20%? Is it 50%? 40%? 30%? 10%?
I don't recall know that. Chelsea having a sell-on clause for him, but I might have remembered that wrongly.
Oh, everyone's got a sell-on clause. Everyone's got a buyback clause. Everyone's got a friendly in the summer clause that never actually happens. Everyone's got every clause. You know, it's just clause. Football's just clause. You know, soccer is clause. It's what it should be called.
Yeah,
right? Everything's got a clause these days. Clause
everything's contractual. It is.
Clause.
Yeah.
Clause.
So Mari, potentially his last appearance at Portman Road. We'll have to wait and see. Fingers crossed not, of course. We don't want him to go. I think he will tear the championship up next season.
You named it right there, son. It was a slip of the tongue, but you named it right there.
Chaplin, I'm going to bring him in at the 10. I'll probably play Broadhead on the left. I'll probably just give George Hurst another little go and then bring on Delap for a farewell final half hour or something. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe he gives Delap the start actually, and then he'll come off after an hour or whatever and give George 30 minutes or something. Just so he gets the celebration of the crowd, you know, like Vardy saw on Sunday.
Yeah, I've seen it rumoured online that, you know, there's some players that are close to injury, perhaps might feature. You know,
we pushing Smodics out here, are you, on his crutches?
Yeah, see, any player that has been injured and is close to now, this is going to be Coventry all over again for me, right? If it is Smodics, this game is ultimately meaningless.
Yeah, I don't think he'll feature. I can't see that.
Here is your ticket to corporate, Sammy. Put your feet up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have a Portman pie on me.
Yeah.
See you for 46 games next year when you're going to score 28 goals and get us promoted again. Like,
fingers crossed.
We don't need him Sunday, not because he's not a good player, but because it ultimately means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm if you're thinking that, I'm pretty certain McKenna's probably saying that as well. So
I don't know, because he didn't think of that commentary, did he?
No, but then it didn't seem that it seemed a bit innocuous at the time, didn't it? But that
I remember saying at the time, I wouldn't play Sammy if it was in a cup game that we're not going to win.
You did say that. Yeah, you did. Don't rush him back, you said.
Just call me Nostradamus. Just call me Nostradamus. That's who I am. Without the lottery tickets.
So that'd be my So that'd be my team anyway. Just a little farewell to some of the League One regulars. Whether or not they're going to be here next season, we don't know. People that was on the journey. A farewell for Delap. Farewell to Luongo. We'll see. Let's hope we can put in a better performance than we did against Leicester, because it was a ridiculously passive performance, as we said on Sunday. The stats actually look quite good, but had no cutting edge to any of the performance whatsoever. Could have been a different story if Leaf hadn't hit the post and scored. He was unlucky there. And he obviously had one narrowly chalked off for offside as well, didn't he? But it was a very passive performance and disappointing for everyone who watched it and travelled up there as well. Again, Wilford, we probably would end up... Look, that was a Leicester team that had, done 8 games on the bounce or something without scoring not so long ago. And we just didn't lay a glove on them, did we? So it was very disappointing. But as we said at the time, we're relegated. There's probably some inward resignation there, whereupon they were saying goodbye to Vardy, and it probably raised their performance a level or two to what they've seen recently.
I was laughing because STST's put...
I see that.
That's excellent. Colin says, meaningless, 3 million's at stake. Colin, this is a player that's been missing for the last 4 months. We've got 46 games coming up, and it's a short summer. So, yeah, 3 million is not meaningless, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, you don't want to... I wouldn't personally want to be rushing or risking, you know, anybody that's going to be really important next year. You know, we've already been bitten by the injury bug too many times this year.
Everyone's been moaning about it, haven't they?
Yeah.
We've had too many... teams get injuries, don't they? Look at Spurs. They've had injuries. All right. Better quality of squad. They've got to European final. Everyone gets injuries. We're just not being used to it. But I still would say the reason we've had so many injuries is because of the intensity of the opposition we're playing against. You know, as you know, bitten us on the backside a little bit because we're not being used to it. But we're used to it now. We've had a season under our belts. Let's hope that stands us in good stead for a promotion push next season that will get us back here this time next year.
I agree. All right, score prediction, and then we're going to wrap it up because there's another game about to start. So your score prediction, first of all, for Tottenham, Man United. Come on, you've got to give me something. Give me something.
I think Spurs will just edge it 2-1. That's my
all right. STSC says all hands tonight, aren't we? I do enjoy Angie's press conferences when they come up on my TikTok. They do make me laugh. Particularly in that there's this craze, isn't there, where they're turning everyone into an AI toddler. Have you seen it? Where
that's everywhere. Yeah, well, these babies are everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
it's annoying me now. It was action figures a while back, wasn't it? Last month.
It's the latest craze. I mean, it's a craze. All right. 2-1 says Brenda.
Well, Ange did say, didn't he? Was it when we had Ricky from the Spurs pod on? He did say that Ange had gone on record to say he always wins a trophy in his second season. Everyone's going, he's gone crazy. Yeah, here he is. So I mean, I hope for those reasons he does it for himself.
Yeah. Craig says, don't want to see players just they can wave goodbye. Best 11 always. Things are going to penalties, says Trevor. David says 3-0 United. 3-0. I can't see it being 3-0, David, but you never know. And Colin says United 3, Spurs 1. Now back to the more important game, obviously. Ipswich Town, West Ham, game 38 of the Premier League season. We'll be back, hopefully much quicker than the last time we were in the Premier League, but it is the last one for now. What is your score prediction?
I've got to say we're going to beat them because 99.99% of my family are West Ham fans. So we can't be going down into the Football League without just giving them a bloody nose. So let's go out with a bang. Come on. I'm going to go 2-1 Town there as well.
2-1 Town. Paul Smith's gone 2-1 Town. A says 2-0 to Tottenham. All right, get your score predictions in for the most important one of the all. Colin says 3-2. That'd be a nice way to finish.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah,
lovely. 2-2 says David. Bit of positivity from David.
Yeah, good old David.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, David. Every week with score predictions has made me laugh all season. I love you, David. Thank you, sir, for sending me them. They have been funny. But yeah, get yours in. Join us after the game on Sunday for our match reaction, the final one of the season from outside Portman Road. But until then, don't forget we are part with Stowmarket Osteopaths. Don't live life in pain. Give Freddie a call for osteopath and physiotherapy services. 01449613633. That's 01449613633. And even if you're not in pain, you should go. It's like a service for your back. You take your car in for a service, Matt. Well, your back, your knee, your hip, whatever it might be hurting. Trust me, you need a service on it from time to time. So That's how I see it. Honestly, that's how I see it. Because I go in when I'm not in pain. Because the moment your back seizes up, you're in trouble, right? It controls everything.
Hanging around with Ben Adams for too long with all these vehicle analogies.
I have, to be fair. Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you Sunday. But until then, all the best. God bless. Bye-bye.